Imprinting. I watched an interesting vid on YouTube from a channel I just started following called The Y Files. This particular subject matter being about voice recordings and revealing hidden messages when played backwards. Not just your regular variety of vinyl music played backwards to let you hear a satanic message, that was supposedly hidden in there, but a more revealing version of the overall technique, applied to cassette recordings initially, and does throw up some interesting thoughts from it. Apparently, this was only discovered, as the video explains, by accident when a tape recorder was dropped, and it reversed the playing mechanism. And what it seems to reveal is that there are other words being said backwards at the same time as someone is talking forwards. They say it is the truth being exposed in a lie, and when you watch it, you'll know what I mean. But it led to thoughts, as it always does. Reverse recording exposure of words, as mentioned above, is the exposure of what is apparently being said within normal words that was interesting. Politicians and people who are involved in historical events have recordings played, and the backwards bit when played forwards ends up sounding like it's a lie or things like it's fake, apparently showing that there is truth being revealed by the subconscious that cannot be truly hidden, and it finds its way out. Maybe that's the real meaning of the saying, the truth will out. Twin Peaks. If you've seen it, you may know what I am referring to within it. The strange dream sequences that Agent Cooper had with the little man and aged Laura Palmer, where they only spoke backwards, but not in the same way as reverse recording. They were speaking forwards, but backwards. And oddly, the whole premise was meant to be that truthful cryptic information was being presented to help solve the case filled with lies and deceit in the real world. I'm not sure I'm explaining what I mean properly here, as the whole thing surrounding Twin Peaks is a bit weird and crosses into many a subject. Hopefully, if you are familiar with it, you can get the gist. EVP, Electronic Voice Phenomena. Known and used in many a paranormal investigation and ghost hunt these days, and that's where I first heard about it and saw it in action, where you start recording in a haunted room, or any room to be honest, and either just let it run and record by itself alone, or people ask questions to the empty room with a view of communication with the entity. Then, when they play it back, often there are voices or talking can be heard. Occasionally, there is a very creepy, growly voice on them, which sounds quite freakish and weird, but because it's on TV and edited, you can never be sure if they are set up or actually real. But as I like to, I will give it thought as if it is. Which also brings me round to the actual title of the article, Imprinting. There is the theory that everything that occurs has an energy signature. In fact, everything is energy and is interacting with and bouncing off everything else, constantly. But when something occurs that sort of tears the space-time fabric, or creates a shockwave of energy, like with a horrific crime, a terrible murder, a battle or tragic event where there is a loss, and the grief is great, could that possibly leave something in its wake, imprinting on the fabric of time, turning into what would be called echoes in time? Something so terrible it stays and replays over and over, doomed to be on a loop in time, but not always visible to us on the light and energy spectrum available to our eyes and mind. But a certain energy was created by its action, and in turn creates something else. We just don't know what that is. Being on a repeated loop, however, only explains some recording, or visions or apparitions people have observed. A really good film called The Lady in White from 1998 has a good visual representation of that kind of theory, and I'm sure many a ghost story has. The other types of recording, however, are not as easily explained, because they don't repeat as such. Words are spoken as if in real time, and interaction occurs, leading to the idea that there is a conscious entity out there, rather than an energy imprint. Is it perhaps an imprint can evolve to become an entity, if it is given enough energy? Or do things start as entities when the force that created them was of concentrated and particularly sinister or willful nature? I do wonder. And if they are able to communicate through the medium of voice recordings being imprinted onto tape, is it really the subconscious telling the truth in the original backward tapes? Or is it something else, talking over them, or through them, revealing what is being hidden in what we know as real time? But just as we might refer to the Watchers, or an overseer, or God being omnipotent, maybe it's because we know we are being watched, listened to, and recorded outside of the technological system that calls itself society. And maybe that is just cashing in on the fact that we can feel the other side, and know that everything you do, say and think is being monitored by an outside force and creates its own energy. We may never know what is really going on behind the scenes, as it were. But at least if you can start to work out where one scene ends and the other begins, we might stand a chance.